that goes with that, self-deprecating humor that so many of us kind of throw into conversations. It's negative self-talk anyway. You want to really try to get those messages out of your head, joking about it. If you catch yourself doing that, maybe practice not doing it, finding a different way to communicate with people. Cultural, general, a way to build relationships with other cultures and backgrounds. There needs to be a motivation to communicate successfully, a tolerance for ambiguity is a fact of life and a challenge. Open-mindedness to cultural differences, recognizing that people behave differently. They're likely following rules that have governed their whole lives. Knowledge and skill is the meaning of time is not the same in all cultures. Schedules are treated more like a guideline. I have lots of friends from different cultures, and that is absolutely the case. We'll be there this afternoon. They show up at 5:30 at night. We'll be there at 1. You know they're not going to get there in time for lunch. They're going to be there at 3:30. Relationships are gestures and have different meanings. The spatial distance, eye contact. Eye contact is more important here in the United States than it is in, say, the Asian cultures. Just be mindful. Use passive observation, active strategies, and self-disclosure. Admit to your ignorance. You guys, I do it all the time. I'm not familiar with that. It's a great way to start with that. I'm not familiar with this. Is this something that is important? For example, if you're in a situation where you're with a Latino culture, attempt to speak Spanish. It doesn't matter if you speak it badly. It matters that you try. Silent treatment creates an array of emotions. Indifference, then strain causes depression, hostility, both for attention and due to anger. It's a powerful tool, silent treatment. It expresses displeasure and gains control. Communication and company of others is a basic human need. The lack thereof is amongst the most cruel punishments a person can suffer. Think of the isolation that prisoners are forced into. And I don't know if everybody's probably at this point heard about the fact that people can actually go crazy just being alone for so long. If you haven't seen Into the Wild or read Into the Wild, it's a perfect example of the need for human contact. Solitude can be welcome in reasonable doses. Beyond that, it goes from pleasurable to a painful condition. We all need relationships, and we all need to communicate. The physical need. This is on page 5. This is really, okay, page 5. First of all, page 5. John McCain was a POW. Okay, here we go. When he was a Navy pilot, U.S. Senator John McCain was shot down over North Vietnam and held as a prisoner of war for 6 years, often in solitary confinement. His fellow POWs set up clandestine codes in which they sent messages by tapping on walls to laboriously spell out words. McCain describes the importance of keeping contact and the risks that inmates would take to maintain contact with others. The punishment for communicating could be severe, and a few POWs, having been caught and beaten for their efforts, had their spirits broken as their bodies were battered. Terrified of a return trip to the punishment room, they would lie still in their cells when their comrades tried to tap them on the wall. Tap up on the wall. Very few would remain communicated for long. To suffer all this alone was less tolerable than torture. Withdrawing in silence from the fellowship of other Americans was to us the approach of death. That was from John McCain. And other prisoners said things like, I would rather have the worst companion than no companion at all. Maslow's hierarchy of needs, I think most people have heard of that. The self-actualization is a desire to develop our potential to maximum and become the best person we can be. And that comes with communication. Healthy relationships lead to healthier physical lives. Studies have shown the quality of communication is almost certainly as significant as the quantity. Personal communication is essential for well-being. So that piece is all the physical needs of it. Identity is another piece of communication. Our sense of identity comes from the way we interact with others. Identity is based on how people react to us. The messages we receive early on are strongest, but the influence of others continues throughout our life. Think of your favorite person. Who is it and why? I think that's a great question to answer in your essay this week. Who's your favorite person and why? Social needs. Researchers have identified a whole range of social needs: pleasure, affection, companionship, escape, relaxation, and control. Strong link between effective interpersonal communication and happiness. And effective communication affects relationship success. Cross-culturally, education has been shown to create larger and more diverse networks. Positive relationships could be the single most important source of life satisfaction and emotional well-being. And then there are practical goals of communication. Communication is the key to instrumental goals: getting others to behave in ways we want, hairdressers, plumbers, negotiations of any kind. Communication skills are essential in every career: police, medical, etc., etc. Poor communication is responsible for 60% of errors in the medical field. Poor communication is responsible for 60% of errors in the medical field. Think of other fields. And then I've already gone over Maslow's hierarchical needs, and that's on page 8 again. That circles back to emotional intelligence, which we're going to be delving into. So, you guys, that's an example of what you're going to do. Only yours is going to be a fourth of that. You're going to read a fourth of the chapter. Give us your highlights and how you relate to it. You can do it the way I did and sort of stop in between with your ideas. Or you can read through your notes and then give an example of how it relates to your life. Either way, I'm happy with it. And then we upload videos just like this. And then there's going to be modules each week that you respond to in 500-word essays. So whether you do the reading or not, you have an essay due. And then the essays are due on Thursday by 11:30 at night, no later, because yours needs to be up so your classmates can then respond to it by Sunday at 11:30. And this is every week. The homework's due on Thursday at 11:30. Okay? I couldn't put that in the new classroom. It does not offer the two different dates like the old one does. So it only shows that Sunday's a due date, which is not true. If you do not upload your homework by Thursday, you are late in the homework. So please, please, please upload your essays by 11:30 on Thursday. And I will see you guys online.